My dear friends, welcome. Here we are again, right? With the warmth of the fire and the crackling rhythm of the burning wood, we're about to embark on a journey through the foggy and mysterious paths of history. Today I'll take you to far-off lands, to the majestic peaks of the Andes Mountains, and to an ancient empire hidden among the clouds, the world of the Incas. Yes, the Incas. Who were these people who built a powerful and wise civilization amidst these mountains, valleys and rivers woven with legends? How did they declare themselves the sons of the sun and rule an entire continent? Their story. It's a tale that sends shivers down your spine and inspires awe. Believe me, it's not just the magnificent cities they built from stone, but also the boundless faith and courage they carried in their souls that placed them among the unforgettable figures in history. Today we'll walk step by step through that magical landscape. We'll climb the mountain peaks, walk on intricately crafted stone paths, and get lost in the mists of Machu Picchu. But we won't stop there, oh no. We'll delve into the heart and soul of the Incas. Who were these people? Why did they live in such devotion to the sun? Which kings and leaders shaped their destiny, and what wars led to their downfall? As we seek answers to these questions, we'll deeply explore the Incas' traditions, culture, beliefs, social structure, and even their daily lives. So sit back, friends, and relax. Tonight I'm taking you on a journey where you'll be enchanted by the magic of ancient times, where your spirit will be refreshed, and perhaps, deep down, a lasting impression will be left on your heart. Now, close your eyes and open the curtains of your mind. Our journey begins. The children of the sun, the Incas, are waiting for you. My friends. Now, close your eyes and imagine a vast stretch of land hidden among the clouds at the foot of towering mountains. This is the Andes, the backbone, spirit, and perhaps the heart of the world. And at the base of these mountains, high up, almost touching the sky, the Inca Empire rose. The Andes, my friends, are no ordinary mountain range. Each peak is a legend. Each valley holds a secret. The mountains are so high that you can almost feel the vast blue of the sky at your fingertips. In these unique lands, a civilization was established, not bowing to nature's harsh rules but harmonizing with them. The story of the Inca Empire, defying the majesty of the mountains, begins right here. The peaks of these majestic mountains are usually covered in snow, a blanket of white, like a sacred bridge stretching into the infinity of the sky. Below, narrow valleys, deep ravines, and steep cliffs stretch out. But that's not all. Nestled in the embrace of the Andes are fertile lands and crystal-clear rivers. The air is thin and cold, the freshness filling your lungs with each breath, keeping you alert and challenging you. Every step is a struggle, but also a triumph in these mountains. In these lands, the Inca people didn't submit to the harsh conditions of nature but became one with it, dancing with it. Imagine how agriculture is done in such a demanding geography. But the Incas had found the answer. Terrace farming. Yes, they carved the mountain slopes like stairs on each step. Crops grew, potatoes and corn thrived, and coca leaves danced in the wind. Water was transported from distant glacier lakes through canals and ditches, bringing life even to the most remote corners. And the sun. That great golden god, the greatest love in the hearts of the Incas. The sun's rays filtered down from the mountain peaks, glittered on the terraces, and reflected on every stone, every leaf, like the source of all life. The Incas expressed their love for this supreme deity by watching its rise every morning, raising their hands to the sky and praying. According to their belief, the sun itself was a gift from the god Viracocha, a sacred force that illuminated the world and nourished life. The land where the Incas lived held not only the harshness of nature but also its riches. Not just high mountains but also lush rainforests, golden deserts, and fertile coastal plains were within the empire's borders. The roaring waters of the Amazon met the vast waves of the Pacific Ocean, and the wind, blowing from the peaks of the Andes, brought a touch of life to every corner of these ancient lands. So, dear friends, the Inca Empire was founded in such a geography. Every corner of their land was a miracle, every mountain, every river a lesson in wisdom. They built a great civilization by harnessing the grandeur of the mountains, the depth of the valleys, and the energy of the rivers. They became the highest eyes looking over the earth, witnesses of the mountains, companions of the sky. And this was just the beginning of their captivating story. Now take a deep breath, my friends, because there's still much more to discover on this journey. Ah, my dear friends. Now let me tell you a tale from an age lost in the mists of time, a legend echoing from the peaks of the Andes. This is a land where gods who ruled the world guided humanity, a place where the sun came to establish its kingdom. Here begins a magical and mysterious story, full of the footprints of ancestors that shaped the roots of the Inca Empire. The legend goes, the sun god Inti decided to set things right on earth and protect humanity. He created two sacred beings from his own lineage, Manco Capac and his sister and wife Mama Ocllo. He sent them to the world to establish the sun's kingdom and teach people wisdom and civilization. These two sacred beings emerged from the clear waters of Lake Titicaca, from that majestic lake surrounded by the blue sky and the grandeur of the mountains. Manco Capac and Mama Ocllo set out on their journey. They carried a golden staff given by the sun god Inti. Inti had commanded them to travel until the staff would easily sink into the ground and to establish a city there. They crossed mountains, valleys, and rivers for a long time. They endured difficult paths, climbed high peaks, but neither the staff nor the land seemed to agree, until they reached the valley of what is now Cusco. On that morning, with the sun newly risen and casting dazzling light over the mountains, Manco Capac planted the staff into the ground, and it sank into the earth. At that moment, as if the spirits of the earth gods and sky gods had become one, the world took a deep breath. In this valley shining under the sun, the city of Cusco began to be established. Cusco, the sacred capital of the Inca Empire, the navel of the world, the first home of the sun's children. From here, Manco Capac and Mama Ocllo taught the Inca people agriculture, weaving laws and order. They were not just rulers, but teachers, sages, and sacred guides. Manco Capac, that wise leader, was not only the son of the sun, but also the protector of his people. He taught them how to farm, build terraces, and direct water from channels. He worked the land with his own hands, standing alongside his people, working shoulder to shoulder. Mama Ocllo taught women weaving, household chores, and child rearing. Every fabric that came from her hands was woven with care, a symbol of patience and love. Together they sowed seeds of wisdom among the people. The people nurtured and grew these seeds. Thus, Cusco became not just a city, but the heart, soul, and cultural center of the Inca people. And years went by, generations came and went. Each leader inherited the wisdom of the previous one and held power, until a prince named Pachacuti emerged. Ah, Pachacuti. His name alone means world reformer. Pachacuti was a leader recognized from a young age for both his courage and intelligence. It is said that even in his youth, Pachacuti would take solitary walks in the shadows of the mountains, in the darkness of caves, and under the stars, conversing with the gods and drawing inspiration from them. His heart burned with the desire to change the destiny of the great empire his ancestors had built. One day, the Chanca tribe attacked Inca lands. Cusco was on the verge of falling. King Viracocha and the heir Urco fled their palace. The people fell into despair. But then young Pachacuti showed the great courage that perhaps changed the course of history. While his father and brother fled, he returned. He decided to defend Cusco. He prayed to the gods, gathered his soldiers, and embarked on an epic resistance. He felt the sacred spirit of Manco Capac and the courage of his ancestors flowing through his veins. After days of conflict, he defeated the enemy army. Cusco came back to life under his leadership. With this victory, Pachacuti was recognized not only as the savior of Cusco but also as the true founder of the Inca Empire. During his reign, he expanded the empire's borders in all directions, from the steep slopes of the Andes to the Pacific coast and the depths of the Amazon forests. As he extended the territory, he built new cities, roads, and fortresses, laying down a vast network of roads known as Capac, meaning sacred roads, across the empire. Pachacuti was not only a warrior but also a reformer. He reorganized the social structure, agricultural methods, and religious ceremonies. He established a system of justice. He governed his people with fairness, uniting them. He built the strong foundation of the Inca Empire. Thus, the legend of Manco Capac and Mama Ocllo was renewed and immortalized in Pachacuti's hands. So, dear friends, this is how the story of the Inca Empire begins. In the sacredness of the mountains, under the watch of the gods, in the depths of a history shaped by wisdom and courage. This magical story has only just begun. Many more legends and heroes await you. Are you ready for this unique journey? Ah, my dear friends. Now let me tell you the story of the Inca armies that once shook the world, crossing mountains and valleys in the old days. Yes, I'll talk about these brave warriors who shaped the spirit of the Inca Empire and their genius. Imagine the battle cries coming from the peaks of the Andes. Those heroes who instilled fear in their enemies' hearts were as mighty as the gods ruling these lands. But this power wasn't just about the sharpness of their weapons, it was also about clever and creative military strategies. The art of war in the Inca Empire was about much more than simple conquest. It was a strategy to win over their enemies and integrate them into the vast empire. Every conquest, every victory was carefully planned like a chess move. Every step was calculated. Pachacuti and the leaders who came after him knew very well that war was not just about swinging swords, it was also a game of intelligence and patience. Let's start with the northern battles. When the Inca Empire expanded and faced powerful enemies like the Chimu Kingdom in the north, Pachacuti and his sons needed not only courage but also well-thought-out tactics to defeat their enemies. The Chimu Kingdom was a rich and powerful civilization known for its strong city walls, extensive agricultural lands, and dominance in maritime trade. The Inca leaders knew that defeating this enemy couldn't be done with brute force alone. First, the Inca army would use a siege tactic to demoralize and scare the enemy as they moved into Chimu territory. Cornering the enemy into a tight area meant restricting their mobility. The greatest weapon in this siege was the Inca army's ability to use strategic roads and trails. The Inca roads, known as Capac, were built not just for trade and travel but also for the rapid movement of armies. Pachacuti and his generals skillfully used these roads to launch surprise attacks from unexpected locations. They used sudden night raids and short, exhausting attacks with hit-and-run tactics to surprise and weaken the enemy. The Chimu Kingdom had strong fortresses, yes, but the Inca army conquered them not by direct assaults, but by starving them into surrender. They took control of water sources and cut off supply routes. Eventually, the Chimu leaders, struggling with hunger and thirst, found themselves unable to defend their armies. Once the Inca leaders cornered the enemy, they considered the war half won. For the Inca army, victory came not with a sword stroke, but with a siege carried out with patience and cleverness. Now, let's turn south. The strategy of the Inca armies moving south was just as brilliant and intimidating. The Ocllo and Aymara peoples in the south were determined to resist the Inca conquests. But Pachacuti's son Tupac Yupanqui proved to be a master at waging war on multiple fronts. The Incas would draw the enemy's attention to one area while secretly opening a new front elsewhere. This way they would confuse their enemies and weaken them by attacking from unexpected places. Tupac Yupanqui, while drawing the enemy's northern forces to himself, would secretly send an army to the defenseless southern regions. This tactic confused and left the enemies desperate. And of course, the greatest strength of the Inca army came from its organizational nature. Inca soldiers were known for their discipline and order. Each soldier was not just a warrior but also a farmer, worker, and road builder. In every camp they established, they prepared for battle while also working on planting crops and construction. This meant their armies could be self-sufficient, withstand long sieges, and gradually wear down their enemies. While enemies often couldn't endure the hardships of prolonged waits, Inca armies remained rock solid. Moreover, Inca soldiers fought not just to defeat but also to win over the enemy. Conquered peoples were offered the chance to join the Inca Empire, and this offer was generally accepted. The Inca administration treated the conquered peoples fairly, respected their cultures and religions, and often promoted them to important positions within the empire. Thus, defeated enemies often became some of the Incas' most loyal allies. Even former enemy leaders could eventually be accepted as advisors by the Inca administration and help with the empire's expansion. Yes, my dear friends, this is how the Inca Empire's military strategies and tactics worked. They were not just about brute force but also about intellect and strategy, possessing a power so great it could conquer even the human spirit, and a unifying strength. Imagine the Inca armies coming in waves. Each wave represented not just an army but the greatness, power, and resilience of a civilization. And that's why the Inca Empire managed to control such a vast territory. It knew how to use not just its swords but its brains on the battlefield. I'll tell you more about this great empire's other secrets in the continuation of this story. Are you ready to continue this unique journey? Ah, my dear listeners, now let me take you to the heart of the Inca Empire to see how that magical and powerful society functioned and what kind of system they lived in. Keeping such an empire standing was not just about the sharpness of swords, but required a strong structure and organization that reached deep into the roots of society. So let's embark on a journey together, from the peaks of the Andes Mountains to the heart of the Inca people, to explore those building blocks. At the center of everything was the social organization system called Ayllu. The Ayllu was the fundamental building block of a family, a community, or a village. Imagine each Ayllu as a tree, with its roots deep in the ground and its branches reaching up to the sky. The Ayllu wasn't just a group of people, it was a system of brotherhood, sharing, and solidarity. Everyone was connected, and everyone worked for each other's well-being. The members of an Ayllu believed they descended from the same ancestors, and were like a large extended family living and working together. Fields were planted together, crops were harvested together, and hunts were done together. No individual was alone, everyone had an Ayllu behind them like a mountain. The Inca society was shaped around this Ayllu system. Each Ayllu had a leader, known as a curaca. Curacas were the guardians of justice and providers of order. They looked after all the members of the Ayllu and addressed their needs. They organized everything from the distribution of land to the sharing of produce. But remember, curacas were not despotic rulers, rather, they were guides and big brothers. They listened to their people, addressed their issues, and worked to meet the needs of the community. Therefore, justice and equality were very important in the Ayllu system. Everyone had a role to play, and everyone had to fulfill that role, but at the same time, everyone had rights, and these rights were sacred. However, there was another aspect to consider. The Inca Empire's governance was based on strong centralization and a somewhat despotic structure. At the top was the Sapa Inca, or the unique and singular ruler. The Sapa Inca was both the spiritual and worldly leader of the people. He was considered the earthly representative of the sun god Inti, a sacred figure. His word was indisputable. Not only was he an emperor, but the Sapa Inca was also seen as a son of a god, almost a divine figure in the eyes of the people. Therefore, his decisions were unquestionable and were carried out by the people. But this governance wasn't just about despotism, my dear friends. The empire had an extremely complex administrative network. The country was divided into many regions and sub-regions. Each region was led by a governor appointed by the emperor, and these governors were responsible for the well-being of the people, the organization of agriculture, and the enforcement of laws. Governors regularly reported to the Sapa Inca, conveying the people's requests and complaints. This created the strong central administration structure of Inca society. And when it comes to Inca laws, my friends, these laws were quite strict. They were necessary to maintain order, ensure safety, and protect everyone's rights. Theft, lying, laziness. These were considered among the greatest crimes, and offenders were usually given severe punishments. In Inca society, everyone's labor was sacred, and no one dared to harm someone else's labor. But these laws weren't just for punishment, they were also to ensure justice in society, protect everyone's rights, and maintain social harmony. Now let's talk about the economic structure of the Inca Empire and how this powerful empire created a self-sufficient economy. The Inca people were masters of agriculture. They had developed incredible methods to farm effectively even in the barren lands at the foothills of those high mountains. This is where terrace farming comes into play. Those terraces. Rising like steps on the steep slopes of the Andes, they were a brilliant blend of effort and intelligence. Terraces prevented soil erosion, allowed controlled distribution of water, and created all the conditions necessary for agriculture. Each terrace was like a work of art. Every inch of soil was carefully worked and planted, with nothing wasted. Thus, the Inca people could produce enough crops to feed themselves and their empire, even in harsh natural conditions. Inca engineering also understood the importance of water very well. They built large water channels and irrigation systems between those mountains. Water meant life, water meant wealth. And the Inca people knew exactly how to make the best use of this resource. Water channels started from the peaks of the mountains and descended into the valleys, nourishing extensive agricultural lands. So every drop of water was sacred and used with great care. Water also helped unify the community because every Ayllu had to share water fairly. This strengthened both the economic and social solidarity of the society. So, my dear friends, these systems made the Inca Empire great and powerful. The solidarity of the Ayllu, the centralization of governance, the fairness of laws, and the strength of the economy. All these combined to form the foundations that kept this magnificent empire standing. And every individual, every family, was a part of this great system. Everyone had a role and a responsibility. Thus, the Inca Empire was powerful not only on the battlefield but in every aspect of society. That's why this ancient civilization is remembered as one of the greatest and most unforgettable empires in history. But there's still so much more to tell, my dear friends. We'll continue to delve deeper and uncover the secrets of this great civilization. Are you ready? My dear listeners. Now we are about to embark on a mesmerizing journey into the heart of the Inca Empire, exploring their beliefs and sacred places. Close your eyes and let's walk together to those ancient realms where you could hear the voices of ancient gods amidst the peaks of high mountains and clouds. On this journey, I will tell you about the deep beliefs of the Inca people, the mysteries of their temples, and the secrets of their sacred sites. First, let's start with the god at the center of the Inca belief system, the sun god Inti. Inti. The sun itself, the source of light, the guardian of life. For the Inca people, Inti was not just a god but the source of all life. This god, who rose every morning from the east to light up the mountain peaks and bring life to the valleys, was both the protector and guide of the Inca people. The sun, rising every morning, brought new hope, new life. The Inca people expressed their belief in Inti by greeting the sun every morning. It was a gesture of respect and gratitude, because they knew that without Inti, there would be no fields to plant or bread to bake. Inti was the highest god and the most powerful protector of the Inca Empire. But the Inca pantheon wasn't limited to Inti alone, my dear listeners. Many gods were part of the Inca belief system. Mother Earth, Pachamama, the heart of nature, the soul of the earth. Pachamama was the mother of all crops, livestock, and people. She was greatly respected. Offerings were made to her during harvest and crop gathering, because they knew that without Pachamama, the earth would not yield its bounty. The Inca people made numerous offerings, prayers, and held festivals to keep Pachamama's heart happy. And then there's Viracocha, the creator god of Inca mythology. According to legend, he created the world, people, and all living things, giving them life. Viracocha emerged from the sea, rose to the heavens, placed the stars in the sky, raised the mountains, and deepened the valleys. He was the organizer of the universe, the initiator of all things. However, Viracocha was not as central as Inti. He was more of a distant, sacred figure, remembered only during special times and specific rituals. The Inca pantheon was not limited to these gods. Every mountain, every river, every tree had a spirit, called an apu. Apus were local gods or spiritual beings, each protecting their own region. The Inca people believed in the power of these spirits and held various rituals to please them. Mountains, in particular, were considered the dwelling places of the Apis. Mountains were sacred in Inca culture because it was believed that the high peaks were closer to the gods. The gods lived on those peaks, listened to prayers, and provided solutions to the people's troubles. Now let's take a look at the physical manifestations of these sacred beliefs, that is, the temples and sacred sites. First and foremost, perhaps the most famous sacred site of the Inca Empire, Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, that magnificent stone city rising from the mists. When the morning sun's rays hit the stones of Machu Picchu, those stones seem to sparkle and come to life. Machu Picchu was a temple complex dedicated to Inti. It was also a place where the imperial nobles withdrew for spiritual cleansing. The Inca engineers built it so cleverly that they created a perfect space for both defense and religious rituals by using the natural structure of the mountain. As you walk among the temples, terraces, and houses, you can feel a story behind every stone and a legend with every step. One of the most important structures in Machu Picchu is the Temple of the Sun. This temple, dedicated to Inti, was built in such a way that the sun's rays would hit the center of the temple at specific times of the year. Inca priests observed the arrival of this light to determine the times for planting and harvesting. The stonework inside the temple is so skillful that even a piece of paper cannot fit between the stones. This was a sign of the Inca people's respect for their gods for them. The temples for the gods had to be perfect. Another sacred site is Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun located in the Inca capital of Cusco. Coricancha was the largest temple dedicated to Inti. Its walls were covered in pure gold plates, and it is said that these gold plates shone brightly in the sunlight. In this temple, there were statues adorned with gold and precious stones dedicated to Inti, along with the prayers and offerings of the priests and daily rituals. Coricancha was the heart and spiritual center of the Inca Empire. The rituals held here were not only religious but also had political significance. The emperor would communicate with the gods here, seeking their guidance. This strong connection with the gods symbolized the power and unity of the Inca Empire. Around Coricancha, there were numerous other sacred areas. Inca priests and elites would pray to the gods, make offerings, and prophesy in these temples. The Inca people frequently visited the temples to show their devotion to the gods and prayed to be in the presence of the deities. These sacred places nourished the people's spirits, giving them strength and courage. My dear friends, behind this immense belief system and deep devotion of the Inca Empire lies a philosophy humans are a part of nature, and the gods exist in every particle of nature. The Inca people viewed each god and each sacred place as a source of life, because they knew that only if the gods were pleased would the earth yield its bounty, rains would fall, and the empire would live in peace. In this fascinating world of the Inca Empire, the story of the gods and temples does not end here. Each god, each temple, and each sacred site is a reflection of the Inca people's spirit. As they walked through this world, they felt the shadow of their gods with every step, celebrating their presence with every breath. In these ancient lands, gods and humans lived hand in hand, heart to heart. And we, today, can still hear the echoes of these ancient legends. Now, my dear friends, before leaving these sacred places, I invite you to take a moment to pause and feel this spiritual richness. Close your eyes, feel the warmth of the sun, and perhaps you might hear the whispers of the gods. Ah, dear listeners, now I'm going to take you on a fascinating journey through the wonders hidden behind the majestic stones of the Inca Empire and the scientific secrets of this ancient civilization. We'll explore how these stones tell a story and what that history whispers to us. Are you ready? Close your eyes and let's step together into these ancient lands lost behind the mountain peaks and mist. First, let's talk about the unique stonework and construction techniques of Inca architecture. Oh, these stones! Each one seems to have been shaped not by human hands, but by the sacred breath of the gods. One of the most striking aspects of Inca architecture is the mastery of stonework. The stones are cut with such precision and care that they are placed on top of each other without the use of any mortar or cement. Even today, you couldn't fit a thin knife or piece of paper between those stones. This craftsmanship is so impressive that these walls have stood firm through all the shocks, earthquakes, and storms of time. When you look at the stone walls of Machu Picchu, you can see that each stone hides a story. Inca engineers worked with such precision that these stones not only offer visual beauty but also provide excellent structural durability. For example, the slight incline of the stones helps distribute energy during earthquakes. Every stone has a purpose, each with its own meaning and function. It's as if each one stands there defying the power of nature. Inca engineers chose to work with nature, not control it. As a result, Inca structures are not only marvels of beauty and functionality, but also masterpieces that speak the language of nature. The wonders of Inca architecture weren't just about strength and functionality. Each structure was also built for astronomical observations and religious rituals. Throughout the empire, temples, sun clocks, and observation points aligned with the sunrise and sunset were constructed. These structures were used to track the movements of the sun and moon. Inca astronomers carefully observed the movements of stars and planets, basing their calendars on these observations. The deep connection between the Inca Empire and the sun was vital for their survival and agricultural activities. The sunrise and sunset served as guides for the right times to plant and harvest crops. Along with these fascinating architectural structures and stonework, another key element of Inca civilization was the mysterious writing and numerical system known as quipu o quipu. These strings and knots, each carrying a riddle and a secret. Quipu, which means knot in the Inca language, was actually a tool for record keeping, tax collection, and administrative work. While they may look like ordinary strings and knots from a distance, each knot represents a numerical value and meaning. The color, length, and number of knots carry a message, tell a story. In Inca society, those who could decode quipu were considered special sages. These sages used quipu to manage the empire, trade, and agriculture. Each quipu carried a different story, a different piece of information. Sometimes it recorded tax information, other times it told the story of a war. Some researchers believe that quipu might have also been used as a form of writing system. Perhaps these knots are the key to a lost language of the Inca civilization, who knows? The mystery of quipu remains an unsolved puzzle. And now let's examine how this mysterious civilization looked at the sky, observing stars and planets. Inca astronomy. Oh, dear listeners, Inca astronomers viewed the sky as wise observers, tracking the movement of every star and planet. They created calendars based on the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. These calendars were used not only for agricultural activities but also for religious rituals and festivals. In Cuzco, the heart of the Inca Empire, special sun clocks and observation points were built for astronomical observations. These sun clocks, known as Intihuatana, were closely monitored by Inca priests on the winter solstice, the day when the sun reaches its highest point. The shadows of these sun clocks were used to track the changes of the day and the seasons. Inca astronomers carefully measured the length and angle of these shadows to keep track of the passage of time. The Inca calendar covered a 12-month year, with each month named after an agricultural or religious event. Rituals based on the moon's movements determined the timing for planting and harvesting crops according to the sun's movements. Thus, the sky and the earth worked in harmony, with agricultural activities done according to the gods' wishes. Inca astronomers believed that the movements of stars conveyed messages from the gods. Every star, every planet offered a message, a guidance. Dear friends, in the mysterious world of the Inca Empire, there was a unity between the language of stones, the song of knots, and the dance of stars. Inca architecture, writing, and astronomy together reflect the life, beliefs, and wisdom of this ancient people. Stone walls, quipu strings, and sun clocks. Each one is like a work of art and a marvel of science from the pen of an Inca sage. Behind each is profound knowledge, boundless belief, and unshakable will. So, dear listeners, everything we've learned on this journey through the wonders of the Inca Empire, from stones to writing, from writing to the heavens, shows once again how advanced this remarkable civilization was. As I recount this journey to you, I feel it in my heart and share it with enthusiasm, as if I had lived it myself. Because these stories are the legacy of the past, treasured memories carried to the present. Now open your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel how this ancient knowledge has journeyed with you. These stories, this knowledge, will remain with us forever as long as we keep them alive. Ah, my dear friends. Now I'm going to take you on a journey along the stone-paved roads of the Inca Empire. These roads weren't just simple pathways made of stacked stones. They were like veins connecting an entire empire. The Inca roads were a miracle, stretching for miles, from the snow-covered Andes to the sun-scorched deserts. Along these roads, caravans and the postal system kept the pulse of life, ensuring the flow of goods, news, and messages. Now imagine you're walking on a narrow, thin path at the top of high mountains. As you follow those stone roads stretching into the horizon, you feel the hard rocks under your feet and the rising slope with every step. Inca roads weren't just on the foothills or in the depths of valleys. They stretched along mountain peaks, cliff edges, and through the mist. Each stone was a testament to the Inca engineers' brilliance and determination. These roads reached every corner of the empire, connecting every village, town, and major city. Building these roads required such great skill and patience that even today, modern engineers admire their durability and functionality. The slope of the road, the way the stones were placed, and even the direction of the roads were all designed considering the challenges and conditions of nature. Channels were carved into the side walls to ensure water flow, and fine sand was spread between the stones to make them earthquake resistant. Thus, the Inca roads managed to withstand the test of time. These roads weren't just about stones stacked on top of each other. They were also crucial for trade and communication. At various points along the road, there were resting spots, storage points, and outposts. These stations, known as tambos, were used by traders and caravans for rest, food, and water. They also served as stops for chasquis, the messengers who kept the postal system running. Ah, dear listeners, how valuable speed and information must have been back then. In the vast and scattered geography of the Inca Empire, communication was quite challenging. However, the Inca administration needed a fast and reliable postal system. This is where the brave and swift runners known as chasquis came in. Chasquis were usually young, agile, and athletic men selected for their roles. Each was specially trained to carry out their duties flawlessly. The chasquis carried messages in small packages in special bags slung over their shoulders, running from one station to the next, sometimes without even catching a breath. The chasquis' route went through winding trails, narrow passes, and dangerous mountain paths. They were the soul of the Inca roads, moving swiftly and silently like shadows. These messengers ran tirelessly to deliver messages from one point to another, almost like a relay race. At each tambo, another chasqui would be ready to take over. The content of the message could range from the most secret state matters to a farmer's harvest report. Whatever it was, the chasquis delivered these messages with great care and responsibility. The roads were filled with the footprints of these brave messengers. And so, my dear listeners, besides the roads and the messengers, the Inca Empire's vibrant economy was also known for the bustling local markets and trade. Inca markets weren't just shopping centers, they were also the heart of the community. In every village and town, marketplaces were set up where people met, traded goods, and enjoyed social life. These markets were an essential part of daily life for the Incas. In Inca society, money wasn't used. Instead, there was a barter system. Goods like agricultural products, livestock products, woven fabrics, ceramics, and precious stones were exchanged at markets. Each product had its own value, which varied depending on its rarity, quality, and season. For example, staple food items like potatoes grown in mountainous regions were traded for fish and salt from coastal areas. Or dried meat known as charqui from high altitudes was exchanged for corn and coca leaves from the lower valleys. Markets were also centers for sharing information and cultural interaction. People didn't just trade goods, they also shared news, stories, and traditions. These markets were important for strengthening the social bonds that fostered unity and solidarity among the Incas. The weekly markets boosted both the local and regional economy. The Inca trade system was part of a large economic network that extended beyond local markets. Trade caravans traveled along these roads, transporting various goods and distributing them throughout the empire. From the mountain peaks to the coastal regions, and down to the valleys at the base of the mountains, every place was marked by the tracks of these caravans. The goods carried by each caravan reflected the wealth and diversity of the empire. This trade network wasn't just about goods and products, it also facilitated cultural and social interactions. Traders carried stories, legends, and information from different parts of the empire. Each trade journey was a process of exchanging not just goods but also ideas and knowledge. Caravans strengthened connections between societies while transporting these insights. And so, dear listeners, in this fascinating world of the Inca Empire, the lively network of roads, messengers, markets, and trade was at the heart of the empire. The chasquis running along the Inca roads, the traders shopping in the markets, and the caravans traveling these routes all together represented the unity and solidarity of the Incas. The dance of stone roads and trade was a symbol of the empire's strength and richness. Every step, every exchange, every piece of news was a part of this grand and magnificent civilization. Walking these Inca roads feels like touching the heart of those times. And now, as I share these stories with you, I can feel the chill of those stone roads, the breath of the chasquis, and the vibrancy of the marketplaces in my heart. Because these stories are the cherished memories of the past, each one a precious gem carried down to today. Dear friends, deep in history, the fate of great civilizations was shaped not only by their internal worlds, but also by their relationships with neighboring kingdoms. Today I want to take you on a journey through the relationships the Inca Empire had with its neighboring kingdoms. This story is about not just wars and conquests, but also diplomacy and strategic marriages. The vastness of the Inca Empire, stretching from the mountain foothills to lush valleys, made its relationships with neighboring kingdoms quite significant. Over time, the interactions of this great empire with other kingdoms were shaped through a series of diplomatic maneuvers, trade agreements, and strategic marriages. Back then, power and sovereignty were secured not only through military victories but also through shrewd diplomacy and strategic partnerships. The Inca Empire's diplomatic approach was meticulously crafted to protect the empire's borders, maintain good relations with neighboring kingdoms, and enhance its wealth. This approach consisted of diplomatic moves, each one carefully calculated like chess pieces. The Incas demonstrated great diplomatic skill in managing their relations with neighboring kingdoms. These relationships were sometimes maintained through peaceful agreements and sometimes through alliances. Inca rulers not only protected their own lands but also worked with neighboring kingdoms to create a broad regional influence. Diplomatic relations were often conducted through envoys, who were typically high-ranking officials. These envoys would negotiate peace treaties, trade agreements, and other strategic collaborations with the ruling classes of neighboring kingdoms. For instance, trade agreements with coastal kingdoms to the west of the Inca Empire facilitated the movement of both seafood and precious stones from the coast to the interior regions. Such agreements created a platform not just for economic exchanges but also for cultural interactions. Coastal traders brought their traditional maritime knowledge and crafts to Inca lands, contributing to the empire's cultural richness. Trade agreements with neighboring kingdoms were a key strategy for increasing the economic power of the Inca Empire. These agreements were usually designed to meet the needs of both parties. The Inca Empire would exchange agricultural products like corn and potatoes from the interior regions for salt and seafood from the coastal areas. Additionally, valuable stones and metal products from mountainous regions were among the sought-after goods of other kingdoms. Trade was not just an economic activity, but also a means of cultural exchange. Through these trade routes, information and cultural knowledge were exchanged between different communities. The Inca Empire's marketing strategies were crucial for strengthening trade relations with neighboring kingdoms and enhancing the empire's economic wealth. Now, dear friends, let's also touch on the topic of strategic marriages. The royal family of the Inca Empire used marriage strategies to strengthen relationships with neighboring kingdoms. These strategic marriages were of great political and diplomatic importance. For example, the rulers of the Inca Empire would marry princes and princesses from neighboring kingdoms to solidify their relationships. These marriages would reinforce peace agreements, create strong bonds between families, and generally lay the groundwork for mutual support and cooperation. Royal weddings symbolized not just the union of two families but also the unification of two kingdoms. Marriages were typically celebrated with grand ceremonies that merged the cultural heritage of both kingdoms. Such strategic marriages maximized the advantages for both sides and enhanced the power and influence of the empires. Thus, the Inca Empire's political and diplomatic relationships were strengthened not only through wars and conquests, but also through well-planned marriage strategies. Dear listeners, relationships with neighboring kingdoms played a critical role in the expanding influence and power of the Inca Empire. Diplomacy, trade, and strategic marriages were the elements that shaped the world around this great civilization. These relationships were significant not only on the battlefield, but also through peaceful agreements and cultural interactions. In the depths of history, the Inca Empire's carefully crafted network of relationships ensured its long-lasting and effective power. Every diplomatic move, trade agreement, and marriage were crucial pieces in shaping the destiny and legacy of this great civilization. Dear friends, in the depths of history, building a great empire was shaped not only by victories and grand conquests, but also by internal conflicts and resistance. Today I want to take you on a journey through the complex history of the Inca Empire, filled with civil wars and uprisings. This journey is about not just military struggles, but also the integration and resistance of local peoples. Close your eyes and imagine an empire stretching between the high peaks and deep valleys of the Andes Mountains. In these vast lands, each corner has its own distinct culture, language, and tradition. The greatness of the Inca Empire was shaped not only by conquests, but also by its complex relationships with the peoples of these lands. Here are the stories of how these internal struggles and resistances affected the empire's fate. The vast territory of the Inca Empire was a mosaic of different cultures, languages, and traditions. However, this mosaic didn't always fit together harmoniously. As the empire expanded, the integration of local peoples became a process full of challenges and opportunities. Inca rulers developed various strategies to manage and unify the conquered territories. These strategies often aimed to allow local peoples to maintain their cultural identities while bringing them under the empire's rule. But this integration process was not always smooth. Local peoples sometimes resisted the central authority of the empire. These resistances were often struggles to protect local traditions, economic independence, and cultural identities. Local leaders would challenge Inca policies, sometimes leading to uprisings and conflicts. These resistances included not just military but also social and cultural struggles. The civil wars and uprisings within the Inca Empire were often related to the challenges of expansion and governance. The central administration of the empire developed various military and administrative strategies to control newly conquered lands. However, these strategies didn't always succeed. The reactions and resistances of local peoples could be powerful enough to shake the internal structure of the empire. For example, in the northern territories of the Inca Empire, local peoples showed strong resistance to the new taxation and social regulations imposed by the Inca administration. These resistances sometimes turned into open conflicts and uprisings. Local leaders engaged in armed struggles to defend their lands and protect their freedoms. These uprisings were significant events that tested the military strength of the Inca government and questioned the governance structure of the empire. The civil wars of the Inca Empire were not just limited to military conflicts. They also involved social and cultural clashes. These internal conflicts reflected the difficulties local peoples faced in adapting to Inca culture and administration. The struggle of various groups within the empire to preserve their identities and cultural values made the internal dynamics of the empire complex. Dear listeners, the civil wars and uprisings of the Inca Empire were a struggle of a great civilization not only against external enemies, but also against its internal dynamics. These struggles shaped the empire's governance and the integration process of its peoples. Civil wars and uprisings include not only military conflicts, but also cultural and social struggles. Understanding these processes is crucial to understanding the history and legacy of the Inca Empire. In these historical depths, the challenges and resistances faced by the empire show how a great civilization was shaped and strengthened. Dear friends, now I'm going to take you to one of the darkest and most dramatic chapters in history. We'll embark on a deep journey into the impact of Francisco Pizarro and the Spanish conquistadors on the Inca Empire, set against the majestic silence of the Andes Mountains. Together, we'll explore how these conquests and battles led to devastation in the shadow of the Andes' breathtaking beauty. Imagine, if you will, a group of daring explorers experiencing the thrill of stepping into a new world amidst the high peaks of the Andes. Francisco Pizarro was a bold explorer setting out to showcase the splendor of the Spanish Empire in new lands. In 1532, their departure marked not just a geographical exploration but also the beginning of a cultural clash. When Pizarro and his men arrived in the lands of the powerful Inca Empire, their initial encounters with the local people were a complex process for both sides. The Spanish conquerors, who set foot in the richest lands of the Inca Empire, were not just searching for gold and precious stones, they were also delving into the depths of this grand civilization. However, misunderstandings and communication created a significant gap between the two cultures. The Spaniards struggled to grasp Inca rituals and traditions, leading to a series of cultural conflicts. Now close your eyes and travel to a cold night in 1532. Francisco Pizarro's soldiers were advancing towards the heart of the Inca Empire, approaching the city of Cajamarca. Pizarro planned to meet with the Inca ruler Atahualpa, but this meeting would mark the beginning of one of history's greatest and most tragic events. Atahualpa was eagerly awaiting Pizarro and his men, but he struggled to understand the true intentions of these foreign visitors. The gifts offered by the Spanish explorers were not enough to convince Atahualpa. Pizarro managed to trap the Inca ruler, turning the crucial encounter in Cajamarca into an unexpected battlefield. When Atahualpa opened his eyes, he found himself bound in chains. Pizarro's soldiers had captured the Inca emperor, a blow both to Atahualpa and to the Inca Empire. Atahualpa's capture marked the beginning of not just the fall of a ruler but also the collapse of a civilization. The Inca Empire faced a headless future filled with uncertainty. Pizarro seized the opportunity to establish Spanish dominance. The capture of Atahualpa and the subsequent events deeply shook the Inca Empire. When the Spanish conquerors stepped into the high lands of the Andes, they set out to claim the wealth and power of these lands for their own. Led by Pizarro, the Spanish soldiers quickly advanced by exploiting the weaknesses of the Inca society, which was plagued by civil wars and political instability. Despite facing local resistance in the region, the Spanish conquests were largely effective. After Atahualpa's death, the last rulers of the Inca Empire tried to resist the pressures, but they struggled against the weapons and tactics of the Spanish soldiers. While local resistance continued, the Spaniards made rapid progress in conquering Inca lands and dismantling the legacy of this great civilization. Eventually, much of the Inca Empire fell under Spanish control, and the bright days of this great civilization drew to a dark close. History recorded this significant change, and the dramatic events that took place on the high peaks of the Andes left unforgettable marks in the depths of history. Dear friends, this story goes beyond history books and provides a profound lesson about the final days of a great civilization, revealing what cultural conflicts and misunderstandings can lead to. Now we come to the end of this journey, marked by the deep impressions of these monumental moments from the past. Dear friends, as we embark on a journey from the depths of history to the present day, I want to share with you how the Inca Empire left behind a lasting legacy and how the impact of this great civilization extends into our modern world. Here is the final part where we'll explore the echoes of the Incas' captivating history in today's world and how this legacy continues to be preserved. When you dive into the depths of time and reach the towering peaks of the Andes Mountains, you realize that the breathtaking vistas before you carry the marks of a great civilization. The influence of the Inca Empire shaped not only geographical boundaries but also cultural and political structures over time. Today, the remnants of this ancient civilization can still be vividly felt in present-day Peru, Ecuador, and Chile. First, you can see the artistic and architectural legacy of the Inca in the cultural mosaic of the region. In modern settlements at the base of the Andes, you can find traces of Inca-era stonework and architectural details. The stone walls typical of Inca structures stand out as engineering marvels, and these buildings are not only respected as historical heritage, but also seen as a part of local identity. In Peru, Ecuador, and Chile, indigenous people keep the cultural legacy of the Inca alive by carrying forward ancient traditions and rituals. For example, agricultural techniques from the Inca era are still practiced by local farmers. Agricultural terraces, redesigned using ancient methods, play an important role in modern organic and sustainable farming practices. You can see the influence of Inca culture not only in agriculture but also in daily life. Local festivals, crafts, and even linguistic traditions are examples of how Inca heritage is integrated into modern life. Additionally, in modern Peru and surrounding areas, many traditional markets and festivals showcase the influence of the Inca period. These events help keep Inca culture vibrant for both locals and visitors. But the impact of this great civilization isn't limited to cultural aspects. It has also shaped political and economic structures. The Inca Empire's centralist approach to governance has left some influences on contemporary political structures. Modern states have drawn inspiration from the local governance and social organization of this ancient civilization, shaping aspects of their social order and administrative structures. The tourism sector plays a significant role in preserving and contributing to the economy through the Inca legacy. Historic and sacred sites like Machu Picchu and Coricancha attract millions of tourists annually, and preserving these sites is crucial for maintaining the ancient heritage in the present day. However, a balanced approach to conservation and sustainability is essential alongside these tourism activities. Today, indigenous people contribute to preserving and spreading Inca culture while showing great dedication to passing this rich heritage on to future generations. From traditional crafts to local music and dance, the Inca legacy continues to exist within the modern world and remains a cornerstone of social identity. Dear friends, this journey from the depths of history to the present has shown us how a great civilization left its mark and how that legacy is preserved. The influence of the Inca Empire is not just a historical narrative of the past, but a part of today's cultures and social structures. The traces of this great civilization in the high peaks of the Andes continue to live on in our modern world. Now, at the end of this deep and fascinating journey, we have gained a profound understanding of once living great civilizations and their impact on our modern world. This grand legacy of the past continues to be not only a source of history, but also a rich cultural and inspirational resource. Dear friends, I invite you now on an adventure to the high peaks of the Andes Mountains, where we will chase lost cities and unravel unresolved mysteries from history. As we navigate deep valleys and steep mountains, we'll focus on the captivating stories of Inca civilization's lost cities and archaeological finds. These cities have left their mark both as legends and as enigmatic puzzles for the scientific world. Throughout the history of the Inca Empire, many lost cities lie hidden deep within the Andes. Each of these cities is like a treasure forgotten by time and still awaits discovery today. Let's embark on a journey into the depths of these mystical cities together. First, let's start with Vilcabamba. This city is known as one of the last strongholds of the Inca Empire. Sometimes referred to as the last Inca capital, Vilcabamba is a hidden paradise nestled among high mountains. The city was established by Inca leaders fleeing the great threat posed by Francisco Pizarro's Spanish conquests. The remains of Vilcabamba reveal not only the city's impressive planning but also shed light on the dark and war-torn days of the Inca Empire's final period. The stone structures and ruins here stand as silent witnesses to the tales of war and resistance. Next is Choqquequirao, another lost city that holds its place in history. Known as the lost city of the Incas, Choqquequirao, like Vilcabamba, hides itself on the embrace of nature's rugged back. The archaeological remains at Choqquequirao showcase the extraordinary engineering and architectural skills of the Inca civilization. Especially the terraces and temples in the city offer deep insights into the Inca people's lifestyle and beliefs. The deep valleys and steep slopes of Choqquequirao show just how challenging life was there. And of course, there are other ancient cities waiting to be discovered. These cities continue to attract the curious eyes of scientists and adventurers. Each of these cities embraced by the Andes is a legend in its own right, forgotten throughout history, and only partially revealed by various archaeologists. These cities are part of the magnificent past of the Inca civilization. Often, the locations of these cities have only emerged partially after centuries of ongoing research and exploration. The lost cities of the Inca civilization are great mystery boxes for archaeologists and historians. Each discovery adds a new page to the history books. However, some archaeological finds present mysteries that challenge the scientific community. For instance, the stonework and construction techniques at Vilcabamba and Choqquequirao reflect a level of engineering ahead of their time. Although many theories have been proposed about how the stones were cut and placed, the full secret of these constructions remains unresolved. These stones demonstrate the kind of craftsmanship required with the engineering knowledge of that era and the skill of the Inca people. Additionally, some finds reveal the Incas' deep connection with the stars and their astronomical knowledge. For example, ancient symbols and star maps carved into stones reflect the Inca society's profound connection to the sky. However, many questions still remain about the exact meaning and function of these symbols. All these mysteries and findings form a grand puzzle presented by history. The remnants of the Inca civilization are not just remnants of an ancient empire, but also open doors to a deep exploration of human history. Solving these secrets and finds may lead us to significant historical insights and discoveries in the future. Dear friends, the lost cities and archaeological finds of the Inca civilization shine like stars illuminating the depths of our history. As we pursue these mystical cities and unresolved secrets, we must be in a constant quest to understand this great treasure history has offered us. It's a grand gift and a journey from history. And as viewers of this journey, we are honored to have stepped into the depths of this great civilization. Dear friends, we've reached the end of this fascinating journey we embarked on together through the depths of history. From the peaks of the Andes Mountains to the legendary cities of the Inca Empire and the shadows of lost civilizations, this adventure has reminded us of the captivating and mysterious world of the past. Now, let's reflect on what we've learned and experienced as we conclude this journey. Today we dove deep into the Inca civilization, uncovering both its glorious past and its forgotten secrets. We began by exploring some of history's most enigmatic legends, starting with the magical tales of Manco Capac and Mama Ocllo, and delved into how Pachacuti established the empire and set up a settled system. Next, we focused on Inca war strategies and military tactics, learning how they conducted conquests from north to south and how their military genius fortified their empire. We explored how the Ocllo system was the foundation of their society and examined the centralized nature of Inca laws. We shared numerous details about the daily life of the Inca people, from agricultural techniques to their economic structures. We also embarked on a deep exploration of temples, sacred places, and Inca beliefs. We discovered the pantheon of gods, including the sun god Inti, the grandeur of Machu Picchu, and the sacred atmosphere of Coricancha. By detailing the wonders of Inca architecture, the craftsmanship of their stonework, and the mystery of the Quipu, we witnessed their achievements in science and art. We examined the complexity and effectiveness of the Inca roads and caravans, their trade and postal systems, and how markets and trade were organized. We learned about relations with neighboring kingdoms, diplomacy, trade, and marriage strategies in detail. We also discussed the shaping of internal conflicts and rebellions, as well as the integration and resistance of local populations. Finally, we experienced the encounter with Francisco Pizarro and the Spanish conquerors. We witnessed the dramatic moments of the Battle of Cajamarca, the capture of Atahualpa, and the fall of the empire in all its reality. We observed the impact of Spanish conquests and the last stand of resistance as a significant drama etched in history books. In conclusion, we evaluated the cultural and political impact of the Inca civilization on modern-day Peru, Ecuador, and Chile, how contemporary indigenous peoples preserve their traditions, and how tourism keeps this heritage alive. The modern scientific challenges in solving the mysteries of lost cities like Vilcabamba and Choqquirao present a great puzzle still waiting in the depths of history. It has been an honor for me to share the immense history and cultural heritage of the Inca civilization with you throughout this deep journey. I am delighted that we have come together in such a meaningful adventure through history. I hope this journey has enhanced your understanding of this magnificent civilization and sparked further curiosity about the captivating secrets of history. Dear viewers, exploring these unique pages of history, tracing the footprints of civilizations and experiencing the magic of the past is always a privilege. Until we meet in future videos with new dates, new legends, and undiscovered stories, take care and rest a bit before getting lost in the dusty pages of your history books. Remember, there is always a new secret and an untold story waiting to be discovered in the depths of history. See you in the next adventure as we shed light on these mysteries together. Stay well.